We are here.
Yeah, I'm very happy for having you here. How have you been?
Oh, good, good. You know, good. It's very hot here.
We're here to talk about your book. Uh,
Hmm.
I have some few questions about it. I really like it. I enjoy reading about this. About all of this history that we know about the bands that we love, but like having this inner point of view, it was awesome as a reader. So the first question is like, what's like the process or the method that you use with this Chris Campion guy?
Oh, the method with the editor. Um, well, what happened was I turned in I wrote the book
Mhm.
and I turned it in and what I gave him, I said, "Hey, I finished my book," and and he said that this is great, but it is two things. One is uh, these stories are all over the place, and they're great stories, and the voice is strong, but also the and he said, and I think you're not telling everything. I said, oh, fucking shit. you know. So it became a process of us working together on making all of these stories that were seemed to be separate stories and make them to one story,
Mhm.
and then also and filling in where it did where I wasn't saying enough to say more. Um,
Mhm.
and so it became the process became very many different ways. It took us, the editing was a few years. Um, I wrote this book very slowly. Um, and what it became was just different things. He gave me some tasks to write about some other bits or rewrite other things, and sometimes he took it and weaved it together with like an editor does, and put it together, and so the work became um, making one story that out of
That's
all of the
great.
different stories.
Well, that's great. Yeah, because I think that you already had like this writing experience, but maybe not like a complete book or
Hmm.
a novel with all the well the fanzines or stuff that you work in.
Hmm.
So you had like this writing experience. You talked about that you missed some diaries when they stole the van of the gun club.
Yeah, yeah.
What about those diaries?
Yes. Well, luckily I remembered a lot that was in them. But what happened is that after that I became a little bit disillusioned with having written diaries. So I started to keep visual diaries
Mhm.
that were more like collage and words, like just different, very small words, and so that like I had things because I was really mad that somebody took my all of my really personal writing, and that they probably one thing probably didn't read it and threw it in the trash because they didn't know what to do with it, or or just yeah. So I thought instead of writing words, I'm just going to make images, uh, and they're kind of a America scrapbook.
Mhm.
Um, that will let then I will know what these images mean, and the story will stay through image and not words. So I
Mhm.
did have those. After that, I started doing that, and
Mhm.
and so that was a good source for me of remembering the time in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, now the book is out for a while.
Mm.
Uh, is there something that you regret that you missed, like you wanted to include in the
Mm.
book? It's not there?
Well, the only thing that was a little bit regretful was that I could only spend a small time on the AIDS crisis because that was such a big, very formative, very important part of my life, and that and so that was the only thing. I got to write more about one particular instance to illustrate all of that when there was actually a lot of instances. And and so yeah, it's funny you asked that because then I thought like, well, maybe I can still um, make that book.
Exactly,
Maybe that's
yeah.
a whole, maybe that's a different book, or maybe the start of another kind of book that maybe because for me, writing the book was just one thing led me to another thing that led me to another thing. I didn't really have a plan when I started the book. I knew I wanted to write a book about this period and that, but I didn't know what. The thing I told myself was, "Well, write the book, and it will tell you what it's about." The book will tell me what it's about. I just don't want to. I won't think about it before. And it was very surprising to me what it told me. Yeah,
Yeah, but it really feels that way. It really feels that way.
yeah.
Like it's uh, very easy reading because it's like taking you throughout all of this music history. Um, you talked about like there's a moment on which you think what it would be without Jeffrey, that
Mm.
uh, um, encounter with this character.
Mhm.
Uh, that as I told you, we know the music history, but it's like now me as a fan of all of these bands, it's like me connecting the dots of everything that happened there,
Mm.
and to realize the importance of Jeffrey and on all of this. So, uh, but he was like the gate for you to the music.
Mm.
Everything happened like you without knowing or wanting, even now that you talk about this book, it was almost the same with the music. So, what do you think? What it would have happened if you haven't met Jeffrey?
Well, yeah, like I said in the book, I don't know what happened. Where was I when I met him? I was, a music fan. I was, I think it's clear in the book that from the youngest age, I was um, single-minded about music. That was going to be the path in my life. I just didn't know what form it would be. For me, it would be journalism, or it would be maybe I would become someone who worked at a record company and found bands that I loved and thought would be popular, or just that should be heard. Um, or I just knew in some capacity music was going to be the area for me to make some kind of job or life in. Could be fashion even, it could be anything. uh but it was but when Jeffrey put a guitar in my hands and basically insisted I be in his band,
Or you?
yes, he told me this was going to happen. And I thought, if he believes this, maybe I should try to believe it too, you know. And certainly that we were such music fanatics and record collectors and going out to see concerts. That's what was our life, our whole life. We knew what we liked about bands and what we didn't like. It just never occurred to me that I was too shy and too, it just was like a line in the sand, a line that I never imagined I would cross to become a musician. But when he suggested it, it suddenly seemed like a perfectly natural idea. Uh, and when I started playing with him, that it was just a matter of learning. I knew what kind of expression I wanted to make with the guitar, but I already had like my ideas about this. Like I had been very interested in the New York no wave with uh,
Mhm.
Pat Place from the Contortions and Lydia Lunch, and who were very untrained but just very expressionistic guitar
Mhm.
players. So like these and so yeah, and it was the time of punk rock, the time of post punk, just a little bit, but that musical proficiency was not the the idea about music then.
Mhm.
It was all purely expression, and if you had a good idea about what should about music, that was king. Idea was the king, and I tried to do things that weren't done in a similar way before. um,
Mhm.
and so that was what we did. And like the first record, Jeffrey said, well, why don't you just learn this Bo Diddley song, going to the 50s and early 60s. And, he's like, it's one chord and you can play this one chord, just learn this rhythm, and so that was it. I was like, oh, this amazing Bo Diddley song is one chord, and that it is all about the rhythm of music. That is what is the
Yeah.
hypnotic and intoxicating thing. And so I've never stopped playing that Bo Diddley riff. So,
Mhm. Yeah, you made it sound so easy when you read the book. It's like if you have no idea about music, it sounds like anybody could do it. Like just take the guitar and do it.
well, I
And
do believe that. Yeah, I believe that, and I believe that anyone can do it. It's just a matter if you are someone with the good idea. Like I said, it was ideas. I was already thinking in a strange conceptual way about the whole thing. And Jeffrey, taught me um, the fundamentals of blues music. He was like, you play in this kind of open tuning, tune your guitar to an E chord, and these are what blues peoples do, and they use the slide guitar and and a Bo Diddley riff or a blues riff, which are very actually very traditional way of doing it. But idea was to at at the same time have revere to reference to old music, mostly primitive, old,
Mhm.
simple music, but also to kind of deconstruct it and put new ideas and try to create a new language for that kind of music, that will, speak to us, speak to hopefully speak to someone else, and
Totally.
the ultimate goal is so everyone learns this language and then they can use it to teach other people that language.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked.
Mm.
I'm telling you, because it's exactly that language, the language of music that it worked, for example, for many Mexican fans that we love your bands.
Mhm.
And we didn't understand a thing back in
Yeah,
the
of
day.
course. You feel it, yes.
Yeah, we felt exactly what
Yeah.
you meant. This book looks like a group of coincidences. What do you think about destiny? It was like something because when you had even bad news about like you were the projects were over or you
Mm.
were fired from a band or whatever, another important opportunity opened. So what do you think is that about destiny also?
No, 100%, because I didn't seek out any of these things. The cramps a little bit something else, but really they sought me out. I think that the thing with that it was like destiny because it was my own lack of awareness about what talents I had or what people saw. To me, I
Mhm.
was someone who was new to guitar playing. I don't know how to play a guitar. This is what I tell messages to myself. I'm doing something cool, but I think it's cool, but do other people think it's cool? And
Mhm.
so so it is a matter that was a matter of like Jeffrey. I didn't even know how to play guitar, and Jeffrey was like, "You must be in a band. You're someone who's in a band."
Yeah.
So that was very coincidental, and worked out. And then like really 1 year of playing guitar and having the gun club before any recordings or anything, I got asked to be in the Cramps. So Lux and Ivy came to see us at the gun club and then asked me to be in the Cramps. And I was, of course, completely shocked and completely because anyway, a real professional band. They're our idols, and they were making records and going on tour and these things that I have no idea about. Um, and so it was a matter of really just saying yes to them. It's like I have my doubts that this will work, but and it's very frightening because this is too big of a thing. But despite my fear and self doubt, I just said yes, and and they were actually very cool. They understood that that's what they were looking for, someone who was untouched and very
Mhm.
simple. I wouldn't, start going all over the place. I wouldn't start playing too much. I
Yes, yes.
wouldn't be in the way. I was young. I would do whatever they said, you know. Um, but also, and then I must have looked good. And so, so that that was an opportunity that I just said yes to. That despite any real fear that I was not up to the job. And it turned out I was up to the job, and that I learned a lot. It was instead of going to university, the cramps was my education.
Yeah.
Out of this the first school to the university, of making records and going on tours and playing live in front of people. And Yeah, they were good, very good professors, and just and very odd professors. And to me, they had knowledge of of things far beyond whatever I could fathom. They were very strict architects of their own being. This is they were. I learned about having a strong vision for music. They had a very strong vision of what the Cramps were, and it was not just a music, but it was a whole philosophy and a whole
Yeah.
lifestyle, and had a whole background, and had a yeah, and in a way, the Gun Club had been like that. It was very a world unto itself. Like a band like Devo or the B-52s. It was just a complete thing. And so Lux and Ivy were very much a complete vision. Um,
Yes.
and I was there to be the decorator of the cake, that they had made. So that was yeah. So I learned a lot from that, and how to be in a band, how not to be in a band.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, and as Mexican, or well, to have these roots as Mexican roots, and
Mm,
there's something very important for us, that is, well, for Latin American people, that is the family. The first part of the book
mm,
is beautiful, on which you
mhm,
describe many of the members of your family. How was this for you? Because I think that that is some of the little differences between cultures. Like
mhm,
maybe many of the other kids around you, maybe they came from broken homes or stuff like that.
mhm,
But you have this a strong family foundation. What can you tell me
mhm.
about that?
Yeah, I would come from a Mexican American family, and I think the traditions hold very strongly. The familia is very, very strong. You know, and I grew up with Mexican, but the adults listening to Mexican music, with rancheras or mariachi, or in general, and country music, and storytelling music. The and the entire family getting together regular, on Sunday, and having food party, and Mexican culture, really. Uh, and I had a lot of cousins, a lot of yeah, just lots of family, and it was very important. I don't know if I felt different. I mean, I grew up in LA, so it's a lot of Mexican
Mhm.
people, a lot of Chicano families, and so. But yeah, there was it was incredibly formative, and incredibly. I was always told to really, we were taught to have pride in our culture and where we come from, and and it was it. So that it could have set me apart, but when you're young, you don't know any difference, and then, like I said, who we who we hung out with more than I had friends in my neighborhood, Anglo white, purely white friends, and yeah, I would say their life is probably different, but I didn't think about it too much. I didn't think it set me apart from because I think in Los Angeles so much Mexican American culture. I think it was the same for a lot of people. Parties, kids' parties, especially, were full events. And like I said, just culture of music, food, family, um, uh, and what it did for me. Sometimes the only thing was, growing a little older, was when I started to uh, wonder, like, oh, where do I belong? Then it
Yeah.
becomes then the identity. Once you want to exert your own identity, it becomes like, oh, I'm American, so I'm part of American culture and belong here, blah blah blah. But I'm also Mexican American, and I know how that no matter what, this is a belief in my head, and wasn't actually the truth, but I'm a second class citizen. You I do
Mhm.
not entirely belong here. I have one foot here, I have one foot there. Um, and then getting older, and then realizing I'm a queer young,
Mhm.
boy, all of these things that became an identity, like problem for me, a crisis of sorts. Um,
Mm,
uh, but then, luckily for me, punk rock, glam rock, and punk rock,
mhm,
kind of erased all of that, and I was able to disappear into this subculture
mhm.
and make sense of it, and I found my people there. But but always, you know, till today, I'm still second class citizen. I don't believe this, of course, myself, um, uh, but I still see the world, and America sees it this way, even more than ever right now. Um, and although I know how to fight for myself and I know how to not let this get me, um, I feel very, very sad and for people who can't do that. I'm feeling right now very, very much. I'm feeling all of my emotions about all of this. And luckily I'm an old man in my 60s. I'm the wise one now. Um, so so I know that this is just something completely wrong and unjust and as I know it has always been. Um, so yeah, so we continue to fight. Yeah,
Yes,
that is all we can do is resist, fight, and stand up for our culture, and
totally. Yeah, I saw that.
and our values.
Yeah, I saw that you have like a gig coming at Mexico City that is like
Mm,
to help
to help the
these people.
displaced. Yeah, the
That's right.
displaced. Yeah, yeah. So that was something, I, of course, say yes to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I will see you there.
we help where we can, and you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
What about the reception? And I am not talking about like the
Yeah.
audience of the book, but there's a lot of people in the book. Like it was like this guy from the that band and the drums of that other band and the singer of. So there's a lot of people. So have you had any comments, any opinions about your book, about the people that is in the book?
From them personally, or I think that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write about people who were important in my life, or people who I saw were important in, especially the Los Angeles or the music in general, but we're not necessarily in the bigger picture or don't get the press. But to me, we're equally stars or equally influential. Um, and I wanted to write that very matter of fact. I wanted you to be in my head, going with me in my brain through the stories. And the and so yeah, I wrote about that. Um, and everyone was very happy about it. I think. I think people were surprised they were mentioned in my book. People, uh, and to me, it's a real picture of what was going on that you necessarily don't see because like I said, there's one story about L.A. punk rock, and there's one story about New York, and there's one story about Berlin. And I had a unique position to see all these different things and how the machines all worked, or just the interactions, calling them machines, they're called, but the interactions that made all of these communities work. Uh, and and so I'm actually very proud that I got all these people. You know, I'm very big about. I just wanted to write about magic people. Yeah, that people
Mhm,
to me were magic, and
mhm,
and that created magic. So I was, actually when I was writing, I asked a lot of people. I asked people who wrote books, and I like went to a lot of writing workshops and this and that. And actually, I asked Lydia Lunch, like, she had just written about her autobiography, and I was like, she's like, well, you remember all the main things that changed your life, and so first write all of that, write about those things, and then other things will come. And that was actually very helpful for me. That so it was like, okay, these are the life-changing incidents, and these are the stories within the life, how it led up to uh, the life-changing thing. So to make it, and how to move this whole story forward.
That's great. Very, very good. And we thank you so much for your time. It
Well,
was
thank
a
you.
chat. I really enjoyed the book. I really
Oh,
enjoyed your
I'm glad.
music. Well, see you.
Oh, you'll see
And
Juanita and Juan. You'll see Juanita and Juan. Our
yeah,
lounge act, but it's
yeah,
fun.
I will
It's
see you
fun.
there.
We will have a good time.
Yeah, we will see
Yeah.
you here there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Hola. Yeah. Bye bye.